Good evening. Welcome to For the Hour. I am Glendora Lashley. This evening we're bringing to you an exclusive interview with the Deputy Chief Secretary and Secretary for Energy in the Tobago House of Assembly, Mr. Watson Solomon Duke. We're going to be talking about Tobago and the oil and gas predicament. Very recently, our Deputy Chief Secretary attended the Energy Conference in Trinidad, I think on the 2nd of June, and he made some headways there with his maiden attendance. We're going to explore what happened, his experience there, his energy mandate for Tobago, and of course we're going to talk about things affecting in and around the energy sector as it relates to Tobago, such as a call by the fishermen for the fisherfolk for the intervention of the THA. We're also going to look at how far Mr. Duke has gotten with his energy unit in the THA. Good evening, Mr. Duke.
Good afternoon, Glendora. It's a privilege, I say a great privilege, to be interviewed by you again for the year 2022 and to be on the show that Tobagonians watch most.
Thank you,
Tobago.
Much.
Thank you, Glendora.
Thank you very much. I totally appreciate, we at Tobago Updates, we totally appreciate you taking the time. We know that you've been busy all day, straight off the plane,
yes,
doing a lot of things. So we definitely, we appreciate the time. Now, very recently you had, I would say you got your feet wet at the Energy Conference. Although you are no stranger to all the big happenings in Trinidad, this, because of your new portfolio in the THA, you attended the Energy Conference.
Right.
What was that experience like for you? And I mean, we have a little clip, of course, that made national news that we're going to play, or maybe we should just get to that before we get you going. All right, producer, can we just run that clip, please?
The Chief Secretary, Watson Duke, someone else wanted to join in the conversation.
Glad you really know about energy, sir.
Hey, come on.
No. Come
on, talk to me, man.
Huh? We will talk.
I have a joint press conference. You want to have a joint press
I will
conference?
always have a joint press conference. I see you wearing the right color tie too.
No, to the black.
The banter between Energy Minister Stuart Young and THA Deputy Chief Secretary Duke did not lead to a joint news conference at that moment. We continued with our interview with Mr. Duke, who is the political leader of the PDP that is presently in charge of the THA. What would be the expectations or the hopes in terms of the present THA administration for Tobago where energy is concerned?
There are a lot of things that was said that speaks to positivity insofar as Tobago is concerned. One, the government is opening a bid for deep waters and shallow waters, and they have issued some license, etc. There are a lot of deep waters in Tobago, some which have been explored and gas have been found there. We expect that some of those northern exploration, the deep sea, will be in Tobago waters, and thus gives us a better opportunity to bargain insofar as revenue that should be sent to the Tobago House of Assembly Fund.
The issue of Tobago's share of Trinidad and Tobago's oil and natural gas revenues came up during the THA election campaign last year. What is the present position now that the PDP, of course, is in charge of the THA?
Well, the PDP THA executive, we have gone a step further and we have established Energy Affairs Department, of which I'm responsible. And as such, that department is responsible for monetizing the finds of gas and oil, so the people of Tobago can benefit. This is my first energy conference, first energy meeting, and I expect to engage the Minister of Energy and also the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago in discussions.
Jewel Brown.
All right, so that was a clip with Jewel Brown, TV6 reporter Jewel Brown, and that aired on TV6 News. Very, very interesting start there. So again, Deputy Chief Secretary, how was that experience for you at the Energy Conference?
I think it was a good experience in that it provided a platform to network with various energy personnel, some at the service level, some at the level where they actually operating upstream, where they are winning the gas, the oil, and sending it through pipeline, etc., and some operating downstream. So it's good to meet the who is who in energy
Right.
on that kind of platform. It allowed for a good conversation and opportunities for us to be able to at least see its future through the lens of energy.
Right. Now, one of the things that we saw, of course, very interesting, taking the shot, is that, you know, gentle banter, nice little interaction between you and the Minister of Energy. Of course, in the past, things may have been a bit more heated, but the game has changed, and so we
Well,
saw
yes,
him coming up
yes.
to you, acknowledging your presence, and of course, you know, I suppose making that ease into the discussions. Have you all met just yet?
Not as yet, but I expect that we should meet shortly. It's important to note that the exchange in the power relationship there was one where I didn't see him.
Yeah.
But he saw me, and he approached me, and he shook my hands, and he spoke of the red tie.
Yes.
But let me just make it absolutely clear now. Whenever you see me with a red tie, it is because I'm getting used to, and I'm preparing myself for national work. All right? So the red, white, and black, I'll wear from time to time, because I'm preparing myself for that national work. It's not a PNM red. It's a national red, national flag red. It's a different type of red.
Got you.
Right?
You always have a nice
Yes.
savvy comeback for
I just
me.
wanted to put on the table there for persons who saw me the red tie.
All right, got you. I mean, some of us don't care about the red tie.
Right.
The work is what is important.
Yes.
But I will say it was nice and refreshing to see that gesture,
Yeah.
because for a serious matter like the energy sector, and when we're looking at, okay, discussing where the hydrocarbons are found, the difference between the waters between Trinidad and Tobago and so on, that needs to be a mature professional discussion.
Definitely.
And what we saw, you know, was that kind of
Environment that lends itself to that.
yes, you're hinting to the public, okay, we're going to go forward in this professional
Yeah.
relationship. Now, obviously, you have said before that Tobago wants or should get a percentage of the returns
Yeah.
from energy.
Yeah.
Explain your position.
It is a type of moral right that we have, because if we were to look at it strictly from a point of law, then Trinidad would be right. And they have only given us 6 miles of water off the nation's coast, off the island's coast, as is Tobago, right? And the low water mark out 6 square miles they would have given us to have administrative control over, which is important in the sense that we have control over that, and Trinidad can't tell us not to go to the beach and bathe. This is why I said to them during the campaign, when we get inside, we are going to remove that nonsense, because we control when the beach is open and when the beach is closed. So administrative control. Trinidad and Tobago, the central government, they have control over what exists outside the 6 miles. So out of that 6 miles, we have things like the Poinciana, all right, and we have things like the Block 22. These are areas of research. So in the Poinciana, we have BGTT operating, and in 2008 they discovered that, and I think it's 2008 they began to work it, I think, or 2015, tell me about, they began to work and draw from that. They're already exploiting that. But when Trinidad refers to Poinciana, they refer to it as northwest of Trinidad. Northwest of Trinidad, if we were to draw a line based on the laws of the sea that is described by United Nations, if we were to draw a middle line, then the Poinciana will be half in Trinidad water and half in Tobago water. It's a half and half situation, but they are calling it totally theirs. We are saying, even from that moment, Tobago should have been recognized for its contribution to the national financial pie and be given something more. All right? But then leaving Poinciana out of the picture completely, when they refer to Block 22, which is just off Castara, Poinciana is right around Crown Point side around there. Poinciana is around Crown Point side, right? And that's the first one that they discovered and they began to exploit. No returns to Tobago. Right off Crown Point, you find Poinciana, half in Trinidad, half in Tobago waters. But up north of Trinidad, and they don't say outside of Castara, you know. So north of Trinidad, you will find Block 22, and Shell was doing the exploration there in the sea, and they came up with Block 22, and they now begin to exploit that and make money out of that. Only recently earlier this year, they began to exploit that. Now oil has gone up, gas has gone up, and they are making a killing out of that. I'm yet to find out how much barrels a day, or how much tons a day are they pulling out from that area and send down to Trinidad. We don't see it.
Are you going to, now that you have responsibility for energy within the Tobago House of Assembly, is it your intention to formally request that information?
Yes, I intend to. But I heard through the grapevine, I have ears throughout the length and breadth of society, that they are planning to come and meet with the THA regarding energy, since my conversation on the media about us being able to benefit from the extraction of gas in our waters.
Right.
Nevertheless, before the week is done, I intend to write to Minister Stuart Young, invite him to Tobago and his colleagues in his ministry to discuss what is happening outside the waters of Tobago,
Right.
and let's see how we can benefit from that. We are just saying to central government that, hey, you have claimed that we have not been contributing to the national pie. Now that you are within our waters, and that is speaking from a UN point of view, a United Nations point of view, now that you are within our waters, we are saying we need to have a conversation. Now, based on the United Nations laws of the sea, 12 nautical miles from the lowest water mark outwards, that is your exclusive economic zone. It belongs to those persons there. That's your right. You're supposed to exploit that. And Poinsetta is within that 12-mile mark, fully within our 12-mile mark from the lowest point. Poinsetta, when it is evaluated, has the capacity to generate about 40 trillion TT dollars. That's one expert evaluation of it. 40 trillion TT dollars of gas finds in Poinsetta. Now, if you're extracting, how much you're extracting of that, let's quantify it. What are we going to see in our budget statement from the central government to Tobago because of Poinsetta and because of how the world have changed? We want to see something that says, hey, you know, we have Poinsetta on, instead of 4.03%, we are now looking at the 9% that we had promised to give you had you agreed to that nonsense they call self-government, the waterlong stuff.
Right.
We are giving you that 9% still because we had it in mind, and we now have the capacity to pay it based on what we're extracting from you.
So, given that these two conversations go hand in hand, the delicate nature of the energy sector, how they even, come to the agreements, because a lot of those things are not made public for a number of reasons, etc. And the fact that we're still in the midst of trying to figure out autonomy or self-government, greater self-government for Tobago, are you simultaneously working on the, I suppose, further amendments to the bills that will further support what you're asking for, your position? As you say, it's Tobago's right, but are you also working on making sure that the documentation also supports and reflects what you're advancing?
Well, yes, I'm about to set up a transitional committee that will consist of persons from different strata in Tobago. So we'll talk about the man at the rum shop. He's going to be there. All right. The single parent, she's going to be there. We're going to have persons properly represented throughout different levels of society, and we can look at how do we move from a Tobago that is totally dependent on Trinidad to a Tobago that is not so dependent upon Trinidad, and a Tobago that could grow its own economy and perhaps give back to Trinidad. That's what we call a transitional team, because clearly we are closer to what we wanted than ever before.
Right.
We are looking at two major ports of arrival. One would be through the legislative port, where we could say, all right, ask those in Trinidad, the red and the yellow, and say to them, look, we want this. This is what we want. We have amended what you have before you, and this is what we now want. We want to have our lines that are separated, that our lines that says this is our waters be distinct, but we do not want to have all the resources there for ourselves. It can be monetized, and we can come up with a way in which the resources, the financial resources, can be shared between us. All right, so we can come up with that, and we want to have the ability to make laws consistent with the good keeping of Tobagonians in a whole, right?
Right.
Law and order, as they would say. We could go that route. That will take time because no one wants to give anyone any political respect in this country. They want to pull you down and make you look as if you're not contributing. The other route we can go is to take the whole thing over and then demand what we want. And I've already begun to put things in place for that. When you see me in Trinidad, in Beetham, in La Hoqueta, in La Plata, in Chaguanas West, in Couva, wherever you see me in South, in Trinidad, I'm simply trying to bridge a gap that's been left open for far too long.
Now, Mr. Duke, that's a very tall task, and I want to ask you, the last time you and I had a conversation on 40 Hour, there was at that time much more heat on you by your constituents and other Tobagonians wondering, okay, why are you in Trinidad? Why have you, quote unquote, abandoned Tobago just yet? It seems as if that the level of expressions that I saw and heard, it seems to have quieted a bit, but it's not completely gone. How has, in light of your bigger picture and the fact that you must do the work that you're doing now, at least based on what you're saying, how has that been since we last spoke with your constituents and the average Tobagonians that you talk to? Because of course we know, given the brand that is Mr. Duke, yes, you're a Roxborough Argyle, but many people look to you.
Yeah.
So how are you getting, I suppose, give us an update on how people have been receiving the fact that you're still in Trinidad and pushing further and perhaps seemingly less in Tobago?
Well, I'm in Tobago very often. Very, very often I'm here. I spend 80% of my time in Tobago, but I'm very quiet with it. This is a space that is very small. I do not want to hear my own echo. So I allow my colleagues to speak on various topics, and I'll move very quiet. I will not take up my phone. I will not do a live. I will not take a picture. You know, I wouldn't do those type of stuff.
Okay.
Most people will tend to look for me to social media. So when I put on my social media, it is me in the back hills of Trinidad, me in the foreshore, me doing something. And I think that's all I'm doing.
Right.
But let's face it, people who love you are the people who tend to hurt most because they feel they lack access to you. And I don't want them to not complain. I want them to complain. I'm in my constituents every time. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I'm there in my constituents again from 1 p.m. till whenever. Sometimes I leave midnight. And when I'm there, whoever come to me, I ensure we serve dinner for those people who come to me. Everyone who is there, we serve dinner, right?
Okay.
At my own expense, right? And I will do every single thing and anything for my constituency. They know that. So the issue of me being in Trinidad, it's an honorable one. Because I do not want to be fighting like this for the rest of my life. I do not want the children of Tobago to be fighting like this for the rest of their life. So what I'm now going to do is to unify Trinidad and Tobago in a real way. Those persons who are suffering in Trinidad are the same set of people who are suffering in Tobago. They are the low class. They are the people without the money and without the finesse to attract government attention except around election time. So the people in Beetham, Lavantil, Monroe, Post Caledonia, whatever you want to call it, they are just being treated as if they're just vote banks. Drawing them to vote and that's it. Discard them. Tobago the same way. We have been able to successfully break that monopoly in Tobago. And from the way it looks, we're going to break that monopoly in Trinidad. And what we're doing in Trinidad, let me just say this, it's the same thing we want to do in Tobago. We want to make the government more available to the people. In other words, we want to bring the government down to the people standard, right? We want to make local government local. It mustn't be a distant thing. It mustn't be something that, oh gosh, I go and line up. They must know your name. They must know who needs social care. They must know who needs health care. They must know the status of the employed and the unemployed. They must know who hasn't gotten their pension. Government must reach the people. Government has become distant and have barricaded itself away from the people, and we want to stop that. We have created the mechanism for that to stop in Tobago. I mean, I see our Chief Secretary, Father Gusting, is reaching out to the people. He's reaching out to their needs by increasing the CPEP and the URP salary, and other salaries are going to go up eventually too in Tobago. And we are now trying to bring house down to the people pocket, so those who are pushed away by society could be included in decent living in society. So we are doing things. Trinidadians are also entitled to that type of treatment also. Me being someone who worked in Trinidad and lived in Trinidad for a while, understand the cries and frustration in Trinidad. They too are looking for someone who they can relate to, and they can relate to me. I could say to you, the love in Trinidad. If you think Tobago I love, the love in Trinidad is very, 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 very strong in Trinidad.
But there's an interesting sort of, at least in my mind, element of sort of being between a rock and a hard place. And I say that because if we go back to government business, at many levels, as you would know, especially based on your PSA experience, government business is serious technical business. Many times, a lot of the discussions, a lot of the negotiations, the planning and so on, the language, what is happening, you have many members of our society, and for some reason, a lot of them seem to be that, what you call the voter bank. Totally not able just yet to understand what's happening. And when I look at what you are doing and what you say you want to achieve, my question is, are you then prepared perhaps to maybe initially, I don't know, lose some support or find a whole lot of extra money? Because then what you're required to do now is bring the nation or bring the people that you're looking to up so that they can understand. That will not take a very short time. We're on energy, we're talking about energy. I, disclaimer, worked in the energy sector. Some of what we're talking about, I am privy to it. And I remember having to do some stakeholder engagement right here in Tobago. And it was, some of it was sad. Because as a Tobagonian, you sit and you listen to your other Tobagonians talk about things that, for the most part, incorrect. There's a lack of understanding. But of course, in the capacity and the timing, you don't have the, you can't do anything about that. You are going full speed ahead, doing several things at one time, right? And especially with this energy mandate and asking for what you say Tobago deserves. Well before you, there are many Tobagonians who feel as if we should just get a share of the money. Now, you went into explaining some of Block 22 and projections and why you feel that Tobago should get a part of that. It should be reflected in the national budget. But you have that understanding. How do you then begin to pass that understanding to us here in Tobago, the rest of us, especially the people who don't understand, which is a whole lot of people,
of course,
right? To be able to not just parrot things, but truly understand why it is what Sinduke is saying, what he's saying, with the energy and with the autonomy bill. And even if people disagree, then the conversation is elevated, because then what you have is greater understanding.
So I like what you said in particular. It allows me to dive into my division, which is Office of the Deputy Chief Secretary, and there are several departments underneath it. My mandate in life is to always bring things down to take people up. It's like an elevator. An elevator comes down to take you up. All right? Government must come down to the people level to take them up. You can't bring them up without going down. All right? So you'll always see me looking like a street man, ragamuffin sometimes, you know, even I'm well dressed. Sometimes I'm not so well dressed. Sometimes I have my chain outside, I put it inside, you know. It's all because I want to grab hold of them first. And then you speak their language. And then when you rise, because they are onto you, you will rise with them. A rising tide lifts all boats. So to educate the masses, one of the things my department or my division, Office of the Deputy Chief Secretary, will engage in is using social media in a way it has not been used before.
Okay.
So we will not be using mainstream media, but we'll be using things like e-books, where people could flip the pages on their phone and you could see what's going on. All of social media will be using things like Snapchats to explain what we're going to do. Things like TikTok. I recently learned how to use TikTok. IG.
Right.
Things like IG. Things like your this Twitter. I mean, I'm on it, but I don't like it, but I have to use it. Things like LinkedIn. We are going to use every single means available to us and the Facebook. And we are going to put things in small bites. Put things in language that grabs their attention and explains to them in the simplest way what we are about. All right, we're going to create small videos, so again, with talking points, not in sophisticated language, but we are going to use the average man to say what we want to say back to his people. Because there's a language of government and there's a language of the people.
Right.
And sometimes the best way to speak to the people is in their own language. And all this eloquence and verbosity. You know, you're speaking the language you can understand. And it may mean me calling a Rasta man off the street and say, I want to explain this to you. Now you say it over in your own language, plaques. And I start recording him, and that's Twitter. You know? Bam, we go to Twitter. And then we do things like that. We have to bring it down in small bites, baby bites, for them. It's not looking less intelligent, it's being intelligent.
Right.
We have to reach them. And that's my department will focus on that, my communications department.
So you're going to roll out an almost grassroots campaign, sensitization campaign.
Right. And my department will always be grassroots. Because unless we are able to reach the people down there, we can't move with them. We must go down, grip them, let them hold on to us, and then we must rise with them, not without them.
Right. Now, one of the things as well, in terms of your division and the energy department, have you, well, I don't know, I didn't see any advertisements, so I don't know if you all are staffed, in terms of finding technical capacity for the division in the best interest of Tobago, to make sure that we have the people who can, you know, really bring the expertise that is required. Have you begun, I suppose, scouting? I don't know if the THA allowed to scout. I believe that you could.
I have been scouting around.
You could look and so on. In terms
I have been scouting around, and we're going to put some ads outside also too, so persons can apply. But if we feel we have the right mix, we go straight to the THA, and we say we want to have this person, and the THA will question the challenge and then accept it. But we will not play on the periphery for too long. Because we have to get it right and we have to make a start. It's not about us waiting and playing and while time is going. We have to make a start, and we have to make it very rapidly, because the scenes are changing so fast that if we don't catch the tide at the right time, we may lose out on revenue that could go towards Tobago and improve our lives.
Right. Well, we definitely look forward to seeing what will happen there. We've got to stop and take a short break. When we come back, we're going to perhaps bring in a conversation around the renewable energy, because of course there's a direction for that in this world. You're viewing 40 Hour. Stay with us.
Happy Father's Day.
Looking for that gift Dad would really love? Well, this one's for you. Craftsman's Corner is having a massive tool sale and expo. Friday 10th and Saturday 11th June. Discounts, giveaways, tool demos, and lots more. Just build Craftsman's Corner.
Happy Father's Day.
Upgrade Dad's tool shed with our wide selection of hand and power tools. Visit Craftsman's Corner, 24 Sincere Street, Canaan. Just build it.
Opulence Promotion takes you to a musical paradise with Utopia. On Sunday, June 19th, the Buku Historical Park would come alive from 2 to 10 p.m. as TNT's most versatile jazz, reggae, soca, and Afrobeat artists grace the stage. Indulge in Tobago's rich cuisine and be captivated by pieces from Tobago's creative artisans at Utopia, the hybrid jazz experience, a fusion of music, food, and art. Tickets available online at islandetickets.com. In stores at Penny Saver Supermarket Canaan. Guys AutoZone. Pure Vanity Lowlands. Call 716-6797 for more information.
The Street 919 FM and the Tobago Updates presents the Tobago Updates Morning Show live simulcast on the Street 919 FM. Start your day with all the information you want and need with the simulcast of the Tobago Updates Morning Show live Mondays to Fridays from 7 a.m. on the Street 919 FM, the official station that defends the nation.
Looking for plants for your garden or even a thoughtful gift for a friend? We at Eden Nurseries are waiting to welcome you with our affordable prices and variety of indoor and outdoor plants, flowers, palms, soil blends, pots, landscaping services, maintenance, irrigation services, and water features. Visit our garden shop and nursery Monday to Friday 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. located at the back of Orange Hill Gas Station, Shore Park, Tobago. Or call us 639-0776 and let us help you bring your garden to life.
Thank you for staying with us, and if you're now joining, you're viewing For the Hour, and we're having an exclusive conversation with our Deputy Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Mr. Watson Solomon Duke. We're talking about Tobago and the oil and gas predicament. All right, in the first part of the conversation, we discussed Mr. Duke's attendance at the energy conference. We talked about the build out and what he intends to do with his energy department. Of course, we talked a bit about the autonomy/Tobago self-government bill and how that relates to what the PDP administration is pursuing as it relates to energy. I want to switch a little bit, just a little bit from the hydrocarbons and to go to renewable energy. This year's theme of the energy conference, it was leveraging the industry's strength for the energy transition. And that's the global conversation transition. Now. Our central government, led by the PNM administration through Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, they are not so eager to jump on the transition just yet. They're doing some things, but they're still saying it is in Trinidad and Tobago's best interest, you know, that we maximize, I suppose, the remaining resources. And of course, to some extent, the PDP administration is also trying to ensure that Tobago gets in on that. But if we look now at energy transition, the previous THA administration, they got an energy manager or something like that, Melanie Trim. I don't know if she's still in the THA, but I remember having a discussion with her and finding out that her focus and mandate at the time was renewable energy. Is this something, Deputy Chief Secretary, that you are going to continue on in terms of looking at and expanding? What's the current position as it relates to transitioning and the THA and renewable energy?
Well, I'm glad you asked the question. I'm really happy you asked the question. What we are doing is so large and so encompassing that it requires the entire Caribbean and South American nation to stop and take a look at us. We are attempting to do in the TH is to create a green city. That was my presentation at the Dubai. The blueprint for the green economy. Tobago is idealistically one of the best Caribbean islands for green energy. And so the city of Roxborough, which is largely state land, 80% of the lands in Roxborough are state land.
Oh, okay.
You could say, right? Compared to that Roxborough, Argyle area, it goes into De La Ford, etc. Are state lands. When we look at that and we look at what we can do, put in using wind energy, sea energy, solar energy, the energy of magnetism, all this kind of energy, we are willing to explore that. So Roxborough become a sandstone. But in all of that, we would be able to transition between those renewable energies and the energy produced by gas, etc.
Right.
So because there is no total separation in the event of, because it's still a developing area, and you will discover that in the forum, right, in the conference, that is not absolute. So you still want to have that in the case something goes wrong with renewable energy, there's still the backup energy right there.
Right, yeah.
Right, so a big thing for the transition of energy, the storage of energy. How do we store energy? And we recognize as we proceed towards greater years in life of the nation and the world, people are coming up with strategies for having batteries last longer, having renewable energies be more efficient.
Right.
And so it's a work in progress, but we want to focus on Roxborough for that. As we develop new areas in Roxborough, we want to make all of those buildings green. I've been to Dubai. I went to Dubai. There are homes built by the government that are totally green, totally digital.
Right.
You enter, the light comes on. Slick your finger, the music comes on. They're building a city now that is the one of the sons of the ruler, where when you step out, the entire place is air conditioned. Yeah, the entire place is air conditioned. You're manufacturing streams and rivers and all this kind of stuff throughout, and the whole place is air conditioned. So they are moving ahead instead of us creating the environment they want. It's a whole city. We, to a small place called the City of Roxborough, that spans from Kendall to Dallas-Ford, we are, includes all the area, we are saying we want to use renewable energy in a way that not only for show, but also generates an economy by it. So we're going to have about 200 acres of land along the Kingsbury Dallas-Ford area there. It coming down into Louisville for light manufacturing and free trade zone. Right?
Okay.
It's going to be larger than
isn't that area sort of like what we label as agricultural lands? When I say that, although all of Tobago is agricultural lands, isn't somewhere by Kingsby there also sort of swampy or something like that?
No, it's on the hills. On the hills towards the sea we're talking about. The hills towards the sea. So it's over the sea right there. So that beautiful, picturesque kind of view.
Okay.
And we're going to use renewable energy to push that. When you come down right off the hills there, it's creating its own road network. You're going to reach the airport. The airport and the seaport is going to be right up at Kings Bay where the heliport is out there. We're building out into the sea. All right. And when you go out into the sea there now, you're going to have again the port. So your trade, manufacturing, light manufacturing, and free trade zone. You come to the airport, a cargo port, where the transshipment point. You pick up your load drop off, you go, you come, you know. Same thing with the cargo, with the boat port also too.
But Mr. Duke, as
all of that is powered by renewable energy, by the way.
Yeah, I understand that, but I couldn't help but think about like the traffic situation there. This is a much longer term plan, because of course it's going to take a sizable investment to ensure that it happens. Whether or not it's another.
We are getting funding from companies attached to the United Nations. There are lots of funding outside now available for nations that are pursuing development based on the sustainable development goals.
Have you had those conversations already?
Yes, I've been having those conversations. This is my meeting in Dubai. I've had many telephone conversations with persons from the UN who are sanctioned by the UN to have these conversations about supporting our trust so far as renewable energies, not only for Roxborough but for Trinidad also too, because remember it's a Trinidad and Tobago stuff in one country, right? And so I'm going to say more about it later on when I receive the appropriate documentation that says to me, look, because they're in the process of writing, I want to think. So when I receive that, then I'll come to the media and say, look, we have been able to secure X amount of money to promote that trust. We're talking about housing that are also sustainable housing, using green energy. We have to not just talk it, but people travel the world to see in the Caribbean where you could see this thing really working.
Now, something I saw, as you say, travel the world, something I saw in Sweden, the thing looked like a spaceship, really. You know, this kind of moonish looking thing going up in the sky by the sea. And I saw quite a bit of them, and I was like, what are those things? And my friend said to me, they use that to get the water and to generate energy and do something, the technical language. Can you see yourself perhaps pushing maybe some of those smaller ticket items, can you see, I don't know the intricacies of the redoing Roxborough, but with the current housing stock, the people who live there, you know, when you go to Barbados, there are solar panels on the roofs already. They don't have the energy, they didn't have the energy, so they went that way. Can you see either your constituency or any other part of Tobago perhaps being able to make that shift in an economically viable way, because those things aren't cheap? You talk about the batteries before and so on. It's not cheap. There's a national conversation about how we're going to give back to T&Tech after you store your power. You could give back to T&Tech or they buy it back from you and that kind of thing. But do you see that kind of transition in a phased basis, of course?
Certainly. We, again, the Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations are very broad and inclusive at the same time. The United Nations want to create a balance in our society. They want to bring that 20% of marginalized people, those people who are on the fringes of extinction based on poverty and circumstances over which they have no control. They want to move that 20% at the bottom right up to the middle where they're secured, where they can access water, lights, have food and this kind of stuff. And our goals are centered around the same thing. We are saying the bottom 20% of Tobago, those who are marginalized and on the fringes of frustration and suicide, we want to bring you up. And you would see our THA, our PDP-led THA, we are doing that already by bringing those with $59 to over $100, right? Bringing those persons who can't purchase a house with the right to purchase a house. We want to fix all of that. We want to fix healthcare. We want to fix agriculture. Food must be accessible. We want to fix every single thing, even pension. You can't work your whole life and don't have a pension. So at least everyone must have a pension. One of the things that falls within the remit of my division is, and it's called diaspora relations. All right? And here we're going to use diaspora relations to deal with all the economical issues and even the green issue also too. We are going to reach out to all our diaspora, right? Those who were born here but never grew up here, and those who are 4th and 5th generation Tobagonians from slavery coming down. We will be looking at it and we'll be saying, you know what? You are entitled to a sovereign wealth fund, to access to that. And every single foreign direct investment program we have here, some of that money will go towards creating a sovereign wealth fund for persons who may be 4th or 5th generation Tobagonians, to ensure that you have something in the kitty. Ensures families are provided for. So as we develop, regardless of where the development takes place, in Roxborough and Crown Point, all of Tobago benefits from that. And so I could tell you already, we have a number of development on the platform. We have the Marriott hotels was want to come. We have persons wishing to buy Magdalena. We have persons wanting to buy Sanctuary Resort. We have a number of things taking place here. People want to come in and do major development. When we get down to actually nuts and bolts, we want to ensure that those persons do not come and exploit us here, but that they give back to the community, and that money give back will be used like a rising tide again to lift all boats. So everyone in life will appreciate. And to appreciate the life means we have to now work smart. We have to use a lot of they're still in agriculture now, the hydroponics, use some of that. We have to use different methods of planting, and even go back to this natural whole one unfertilized soil. That's very natural. Some of the soils are rich here, don't need much fertilizer. So we have to use a mixture of agriculture to ensure that the food we have sustain our bodies, but also to operate in a fast enough cycle that we would have food to eat.
Now, as you're saying that, and because you are the Deputy Chief Secretary and we're in a crisis situation right now, Russia and Ukraine, you know, have caused all sorts of things to happen. Shipping prices are up, thus food prices are up. We've been recently warned to brace for another increase generally in Tobago. And again, it's all energy and autonomy, because what you're talking about there directly affects Tobago in perhaps a greater way than it will affect Trinidad.
Of course.
Right? what do you see realistically that can happen while you sort out the bigger energy issues, the bigger autonomy issues, and so on, for us to be able to deal with a simple thing like having a shortage of food? You understand? Because when people get bummy, they're going to go to the supermarket and just kind of buy up and buy up and buy up. And if we really get to the point where the shelves begin to get empty. Today I saw a news clip from St. Lucia, and I actually kind of laughed at it, but they did a clip, a good 3 minutes, around the fact that ramen noodles moved from about $2 EC, just under $2 EC, to just under $5 EC. I think the woman said it went up by 300%. And then I kind of smiled. I said, you know, when we look at the supermarket shelves here now, things are not there. This is directly related to energy, which affects shipping, which affects food, which comes back to our conversation about renewable energy and just what you said about us being able to plant the food and so on. Is there a realistic short-term plan, short to medium-term plan,
well, yes,
for us to be able to cope with something like that?
And I will allow my Chief Secretary to speak on that more. But let me just say that my father, who is still alive, always said to us as children, necessity is the mother of invention. I'll repeat, necessity is the mother of invention. Whenever you find yourself in a bind where you really need something, you are now forced to become creative. Yeah? So I can't buy a school bag, I sew one. Yeah? I can't afford a shoe, so I'll repair the one I have. I can't buy the flour, so we'll make cassava flour. Or you know what? We are going to find a way to invest more in our fishermen. And we still have not touched on how the energy giants have destroyed living for our fishermen. Right?
No, we should jump straight into that, as you said that, because the fisher folk on Tobago Updates, if you didn't see that, go and scroll through the page and you will see the fisher folk calling for the intervention of the THA. In this case, they're saying that an energy company, they're claiming that the energy company destroyed their fishing equipment. Have you been able to have a conversation with them?
I did.
Give us an update.
I did speak with Curtis Douglas, who represents
the president of ATFA.
Right, and we had a conversation. And I understand him quite clearly. And I'm inspired by what he said to now go out and have the conversation with those persons in Shell in particular. Because on that North Coast side, that Block 22 side, and the other areas where they're doing exploration, etc., and they're now talking about deep water and shallow water exploration, giving persons license, etc., and expression of interest. We must have a whole of that in Tobago to ensure our fishermen are able to feed their families and pay their loans and mortgages when the month come. In some homes, the fisherman is the only breadwinner. The only one who goes out and win bread, and he has children to feed. We cannot be oblivious to their concerns about their about they being chased by the chase boats, about their fishing pots being damaged, and a number of stuff happening out there when they set things down, and the impunity with which these oil companies operate. We do not want to act as if we are enemies of progress. We know the cost of progress is always high, is always a cut and trust, but we are saying it must not be too high where our people are frustrated to the point where they bring the government into disrepute.
Now, I remember that there was quite a bit of a discussion around things like fish stock, etc.
Right.
As it relates to the intersection between energy and the fishing. Are you going to, or have you had that conversation with the Secretary for Food Production and Fisheries, Natisha Charles-Pantin, on perhaps doing some scientific research around what's happening in the marine economy, particularly how energy and energy operations affect fishing? Is that something you all are going to explore? I mean, the UN and these people, they have been funding, I think Barbados recently has a study going on with their fishermen, and they're getting funding from these types of agencies. Is that something you see yourself and the THA undertaking in this term?
Well, certainly, within this 4 years, it's something that definitely Secretary Panton would like to pursue, and the THA would like to pursue, because our fishermen wants us to pursue that. They want to know the kind of stock we have for fishing. Outside in these waters, we have all different kind of strange people doing long line fishing, you know. Putting fishing line on there, and when they pull up, it's a whole set they're going with, you know. Because we don't have the equipment to that. We don't have no patrol taking place outside in our waters. And so to deal with that, we require funding also. But up until now, there was no one to speak for Tobago in those areas. Thank God, we had a vision that sets Tobago on a particular level. And now I become the voice to deal with those issues and to attract funding for those kind of issues. And I want to let Tobago know that we are pursuing that agenda because we care, and we want to fix all of those issues that have been bothering us for a long time.
All right. Now, you are also, based on your trade union background, I am assuming very, very familiar with the legislation. What does the legislation currently allow the THA to do in terms of finding like additional partners per se, because these things require a lot of funding?
Yeah.
We're getting prepared for the reading the presentation of the draft estimates of expenditure by the THA, which will go to Trinidad, and then we have to wait on the Minister of Finance to say what he's giving to us. Usually in the past, it's been just around the bare minimum, and the majority of that, for those of us that pay attention, goes to recurrent expenditure, where you're paying your wages, you're paying the bills that we have to pay. The things that you are talking about, very ambitious. Some of them you have identified partners, potential partners like UN agencies, etc. For some of these other things, does the THA legislation as is allow for you to go out and find additional funding? Is there any sort of limit, I suppose, on what the partners... Can you just explain that to us?
Under Section 25 of the THA Act that says the role of the THA, it also says that the THA can accept grant funding. Grant funding is funding that you don't have to pay back. I think when we fixed that road between Charlottesville and Lansome, it was a European fund that gave the money for that. It was not money we had to pay back. And so there are many funds like that available in the European Union, and the United Nations also. So we have to just have someone to go out and speak for that money. That is my role, all right, and by the THA. And so I intend very shortly to have a traveling list itinerary that will say, after I make my contact and set it up, I'll go here, this month, that month, that month, that month. We'll have our conversations, and we'll be able to ascertain and attract funding to bring back home. These are grant funding.
Have you had like preliminary conversations, courtesy calls, etc., with the diplomatic corps based in Trinidad? Because we've seen many of them come over to the Chief Secretary. But specific, of course, to your role and what you're identifying now, have you had the chance to start having those courtesy calls to, I suppose, you know, just kind of as a preliminary?
Well, the answer is no, because my department is still in the shadows. It's now coming out and it's in the embryonic stage. But no sooner than we get started, we will be running. All right, I must say that all of the ambassadors, they know who I am because I'm a larger than life figure. So before I even say who I am, they will tell me, hey, we follow you a long time, you know, Watson. We know you from this, that, you know. So I'm a larger than life figure. I don't need an introduction. And at the forum, I had a conversation with almost 6 of them. I was in the United States, was there, with a group, and I would just stood there and I was telling them about my plans or the plans of the PDP for Tobago. We have the United States ambassador, the High Commissioner for UK was there, Japan, France, Cuba. I mean, we had all of that right there. We had Spain also there too, and I think someone else was there. So we had a nice little discussion, but a nice little 10-minute discussion or so. So the opportunity is there. We have met already, but it's just for me to now organize my office, and then we'll be able to have different cocktails where we have 5 different interest groups, and we discuss with them on our soil, and then we have the right set up. And we will go around and we will meet them. It's a whole kind of a theater kind of scene that involves a little bit of political romance. when I see that,
Gotcha.
yeah, you have to be nice to people. You know what
You
I
have to
mean?
do the networking,
That's
the
networking
nice
kind of stuff.
networking. Okay. What can we expect to see in the upcoming statement draft expenditure estimates that will be read by the Chief Secretary in the House? This is the legal requirement that they go to the House and do what you have to do, but specific to the office of the Deputy Chief Secretary and perhaps more specific to energy. What can we expect to see being put forward? There are several consultations happening. Tobago Updates is carrying all of these consultations live. I think the first one happened last night. There will be one is probably happening, all sorts of things. When this is read out, what should we look for?
At the end of the day, Tobago will see a budget that is Tobago-centric. You will see a budget that treats with fixing the issues. The issues are many, some are deep, some are superficial. You will see a budget that creates the environment for fixing all of these issues, and it means the energy issues will be spoken to, the diaspora issues will be spoken to, the getting additional funding will be spoken to, and all of those issues, even how we improve the various divisions of the THA so far as fulfilling their mandates or their goals based upon them, that will be spoken to.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna wait for the reading of the statement, the draft estimates of expenditure of the THA. Another usual dance that we have to go through, and then that will go to Trinidad, and we wait and see what's happening. So we spoke about your attendance at the energy conference, the first one. You have explained a bit of how you intend to build out your energy department, so we look forward to seeing what's happening there. We spoke about the renewable energy as it relates to Tobago and what you plan to do and what you will bring to us, and of course we're going to look forward to hearing more about the potential partnership with respect to the UN and all of these agencies. Is there anything else that you would like to leave with us and leave with Tobagonians in terms of course, specific to the Office of the Deputy Chief Secretary and energy?
Right, so let me just stress on the fact that Tobagonians have a right to complain, have a right to voice your opinion against me, against the Chief Secretary, against any single one. We want you not to suffer in silence, but we want you to complain in love. You know what I mean? Complain with wisdom. Complain in a way that we understand your message and we respond in a positive way. And I'm saying this to say that a child left alone will bring its mother to shame. That's what the Bible says. So if you leave the teacher alone, definitely we will not be in our P's and our Q's. So I've been traversing the corridors, I'm hearing people talking, and part of my role is to monitor policies and evaluate them. So I've started going around, checking my colleagues, having discussions with them, and asking them, what are your policies on this? Well, I want to see some policies on this. I want to know what are the operational policies, what are the big overarching policy, and how could we improve it? So whatever you're seeing today will be improved tomorrow.
Okay.
And it will be improved the next day. That's part of my role, and it can only happen when you complain. So the fishermen complain, they said, look, hey, they want to know what's going on with them, that's how they get repayment. So I'm saying also, I'm writing to Minister Stuart Young on it. I think he was supposed to come up here, I'm not certain, but I'm going to write to him by tomorrow, that goes out tomorrow, inviting him up for us to have a discussion with Shell and all these people, even writing to Shell directly and going on behalf of Tobagonians to speak with them regarding how they reimburse them. So anywhere you have a complaint, you can come to my office and you can complain to me. That is the forum I want persons to complaining, not all over Facebook. That's how I say, do it in love.
You can't change the forum,
so
no.
Do it in love.
All right.
Come to my office and complain to my office.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief Secretary.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for viewing this. We have had an exclusive conversation with Deputy Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Watson Solomon Duke. We were talking about Tobago's oil and gas predicament. We hope that you will continue to view Tobago Updates. Have a good night. I am Glendora Lashley.